Now we're going to play with some checkboxes and with some radio buttons. Really simple stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and add a grid pane to here just for fun. Let's see here. I'll make this a little bit smaller so that we can see it. We'll make it just a little bit smaller again. All right, there we go. Okay, so first let's add a checkbox. We'll put it up there, put a checkbox up there, and I'll give it some great, I'm being sarcastic, some great text. We'll just call it checkbox 1 and checkbox 2. Ta-da! Lovely. All right, now let's focus on radio buttons. Radio buttons are a little bit different than a checkbox. Let's put that one there, and then let's put that one there. Let's call this one male, and let's call this one female. All right, so we'll go ahead and save this file, save as, and put it in the same place I always put everything else. And we'll call it, I'm going to just call it radio button example. All right. So save that. I will go to JGrasp, and I've already put up a the template for us. I'll make it a little bit bigger. There we go, and call it the same thing. So at this point, everything should be happy. I'll save this. Make sure it's in the exact same directory as the fxml file. I'll run it, and then I should see. Hey, look at that. Lovely. They do absolutely nothing, of course. And oh, here's an interesting problem. So with radio buttons, unlike checkboxes, you can usually only have one. I don't know how you can be male and female at the same time. I know that there's some biological issues there, but I'm not going to get into it. We're just going to presume you can be one or the other for now. Checkboxes, you can have everything checked. You can have 20 checkboxes and say, yeah, I got this checkbox, I want that checkbox. But radio buttons are usually in a group, so we don't have that quite done. So let's go back to our checkbox here, and let's do a couple of things. Let's first say that male is selected by default. That's kind of sexist, but I'll go with it. And then with toggle group, I will just call it group 1. Now what does the toggle group do? It means that female and male work as one group, or these two radio buttons. So if I'm in properties right here, I have the male radio button selected and it's group 1, and I just typed group 1 in. And with female, I don't have anything there, so I'll select group 1. Now they are both part of the same group. I've saved this. Let's go back here, run my Java code again without changing it. And this was now selected by default. And look, you can only have one at a time. Pretty cool. That's a radio button. Checkboxes are the same thing. Let's add a button to it because we love buttons. And what this button will do is get values. All right. That's what that's going to say. We're going to have on the run on action, I'm going to call run me. So that's going to be my only method that I need. So at fxml protected, it doesn't return anything, so it's void. It's called run me. And what is the parameter I need? According to this, I just clicked it. It's an action event, so it showed up out of screen. I apologize for that. So action event, let's call it AE. All right, so system out println button pressed. One thing at a time. Compile that, and we'll make sure and save it. All right, saved. Run this. Okay. Hey, button press, that worked. Okay, now what I want to do is get the values of these. All right. In order to get the values, I have to give each one of these an ID. So I'm going to say CB1, and I'll call this CB2. I will call this male, and I will call this female. There we go. Save that. Go back here, put in my at fxml. Let's see here. What was the first thing called? It was called a checkbox CB1, and I'll just copy that so I don't have to type so much. Copy and paste. And another one was called CB2. And then this one was a radio button. That was called male. And the other one was called female. All right. That should work. Should run. Okay, now that I've got them imported, I want to be able to, when I push this button, get the values. So, what do I do? So CB1 value, and what you do is there's a isSelected method. So CB1.isSelected, and we can do the same thing for all the others. So I will copy this quickly. That's CB2. That's male. That's female. And of course, we should label these correctly. 2, male, and female. And since checkboxes and radio buttons can only have 2 values, either on or off, or true or false, we will see what it returns. Get that going, run that, get the values. CB1 is false, CB2 is false, male is true, and female is false. I can change these around. So this should be true, false, and true. And so the female is true, the male is false, the CB2 is true, the CB1 is true. There we go. So as an overview, make sure and have them all in here. Radio buttons and checkboxes have the isSelected. You can also have setSelected and then pass in a Boolean value. Go back here. How do you make these work? How do you make the radio buttons work? Is you give them a group. To make them work as a group, and of course you can have selected if you want to initially give them an initial value. And that's it.